Welcome to my Airbnb. Whenever people find out that I do Airbnb, the first question they usually ask is, how much do you make? How much do you make? Well, the answer that I give is usually always different because things change from month to month. But in this video, I'm going to detail exactly how much I made in September of 2020, and I'm going to estimate how much I will expect to make going forward. Before I get into that though, it's important to understand what type of place I'm renting and what the local market looks like. So let's start off with a quick tour. Starting off in the kitchen area, there's a ton of amenities. There's a toaster, there's a cooktop, there's a microwave. Up there's some salt, pepper, and oil. If you open the bottom here, you'll find some pots and pans, some utensils in the drawer, everything that they need to basically cook a meal. And there's also a smart lock over here. On the other side, there's a keypad where guests can put in their code, where they don't have to interact with me, I don't have to interact with them. If they happen to come after a long travel day, or they don't feel like going out to buy food, or maybe it's too late to go out and buy food, they can come and just cook themselves some instant noodle. They can open up the fridge, and there's some drinks, there's filtered water, and this is all provided complimentary. On the other side of the kitchen, we have some free coffee, we have a coffee maker, we have a sink. Up here, there's some plates, there's some bowls, cups, there's a washer dryer combo. Up here, there's some detergent. So I'm really thinking about what people need for long-term stays. And I have this second fridge over here. And the reason why I have this fridge is because it has a small freezer compartment up here. I eventually want to replace this fridge with a standalone freezer because if people want to come and stay for a very long time, they definitely need to have a freezer. And this freezer is a little bit too small. Over here in the living room area, everything is pretty standard. We have a couch, we have a coffee table, we have a TV, and the TV looks really small on camera for some reason, but I promise you it's not that small. It's at least 42 inches or so, and it comes with an Amazon Fire Stick so that guests can also connect to their own streaming services. And we also provide YouTube TV so they can watch live channels as well. Another cool thing about this living room area is that this couch actually folds down so that guests can fold it down and actually sleep on the couch. So we can accommodate additional guests as well. And in this area, we have a desk to work on, we have the breakfast table, we have a bed, and a couple more free snacks. And I don't know if it's just me, but again, everything looks really small on camera. These snacks look like they're for like little elf people or something, but I don't know, is it just me? Let me know in the comments below. Anyway, the feature of this area is these French doors that open up into the balcony. And I don't know if a lot of people use it. I don't think anyone uses it really, but it's a cool thing to have to say that you can just sit down and have breakfast, open up the French doors, and just be one with nature. I'm just gonna hold this mic up here because there's a huge echo in this bathroom. So we have a fairly large bathroom with a good sized shower. And just to give you an idea of how large this shower is, I can literally just hide off screen over here and still have plenty of room to move around. And we also have some nice toiletries and amenities over here where we provide like obviously body wash and shampoo, but we also provide toothbrush, toothpaste, razors, some girly stuff like makeup wipes and even face masks. So obviously that's my wife's idea, so thank you, dear. We also, a cool thing about this bathroom too is that there's a skylight over here where you can let in some natural light during the daytime, watch the stars at night, but it does get fairly dirty on the outside. So I gotta look into how to get that professionally cleaned. So as you can see, we try to make a very conscious effort to make our guests as comfortable as possible. And I would say about 70% of our guests are here to visit their friends and family, which is really surprising to me because I would have thought that we would have attracted more tourists since we do live in Southern California, about 20 miles northeast of Los Angeles. But demand has not ever really been a problem for us, especially lately, since right now we are booked up for the next month and a half or so. So if you don't live in a touristy area, I wouldn't be too concerned because the demand might actually surprise you. All right, so let's move on to some numbers. So I would qualify this month as a very, very bad month. And I'll get into some of the details of why it's been a bad month in a bit. But this month, our revenue was about $1,207. And our expenses are relatively low. Our largest expense is YouTube TV, which I do use myself and we do share it with our friends and family, but we definitely wouldn't have gotten YouTube TV if we didn't have an Airbnb. So combine that with our increased utility costs, our cleaning supplies, and the snacks that we provide, our costs are about $100. So we made about $1,100 this month, which is about the same as we would have gotten in a regular rental market. But instead of maybe spending an hour to manage a regular tenant, I probably would have worked about 15 hours to manage the Airbnb, which, is not ideal, but if you want to break it down in terms of dollars per hour, it's still a decent hourly, about $75 per hour. But saying that my cost is $100 per month is not really accurate because I had to buy this entire property in order to Airbnb the back house. And since I live in Southern California and I do live in a pretty nice neighborhood, this house costs $765,000. But I wouldn't assign the entire $765K towards the cost of this back house because I would have bought a house anyways. And at the time, if you looked at a similar house without a back house, it would have cost somewhere in the low 700s. So I would say that this back house costs about $65,000. So I also had to put in money into this back house to remodel it. And I put in about $14,000 to remodel the back house. So all in, this Airbnb costs about $80,000 for me to acquire, basically. So that's still a pretty good return because $1,100 per month annualized is $13,200. And if you divide that by $80,000, it's a 16.5% return. So basically, this Airbnb is paying me a dividend of 16.5%. So that's pretty good. And like I said, this is in the worst month possible. It's been the worst month possible because we're in the midst of a global pandemic. And even though we're booked up for the next month and a half or so, travel is just naturally down and it's affecting the demand of other people, which then they have to lower the prices and in which we have to also lower our prices in order to remain competitive. And then on top of that, we also recently lost our superhost status because originally this Airbnb was managed by my friend. We had an agreement with me and my friend where he would be the main Airbnb host and I would just be landlord and part-time host. But since our agreement has ended, I'm now the full-time manager of this Airbnb. So we also had to decrease our prices even more so that we can, gain more reviews and then regain superhost status. And then on top of that, the Bobcat fire happened, which, we didn't have to evacuate, but it was pretty freaking close. And one of our guests didn't feel comfortable coming because we were so close to the Bobcat fire and they ended up canceling last minute. So we ended up losing about $300 from that as well. So before the pandemic and before we lost superhost status, this place was generating about $1,300 per month, but that was before we did a remodel. So after the remodel, we had a couple of really good months where one of the months we made over $2,000. And after we had a couple of really good months, the pandemic happened. And then we had to reduce prices dramatically in the beginning, where we only made maybe $1,000 per month right after the pandemic. But then we took professional pictures, so we gained a ton of interest, but we also lost our superhost status. So for these reasons, that's why it's so hard to really estimate how much you're gonna make month by month, because market conditions always constantly change and your listing might also change as well. It might get better over time. All right, so let's wrap up this video because it's getting pretty dark outside. But I just wanted to say that after this pandemic is over and after we regain our superhost status and there's no more fire threats, assuming there's no more fire threats to this area, I'm pretty confident that we can generate about $2,000 per month. And we could probably even do more if I wanted to do same day turnarounds, meaning that we have no buffer time between stays. So we can do that, but it's pretty stressful and I enjoy my relatively stress-free life. But if you wanted to take on that additional stress so you can make more money, you can totally do that. So that's my Airbnb and I'll probably make a follow-up video, let's say in 3 months and another one in 6 months, just so that you can get a better idea of what a bad month looks like and how good months look like. So if you're interested in those videos, let me know in the comments below. And if you want some tips on how to run an Airbnb, I made a video on that in my side hustles video. And that video is 30 minutes long, so I start talking about Airbnb in about the 15 or 20-minute mark. I'll put a link to that video over here. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Next video. Episode.